Welcome back to I Love You and I Like You with Mark
and Kathleen.
It's episode 4.
Yay!
Okay,
we've stuck with it.
I know, we've done it for a month, and today was the day that I was most tempted to blow it off.
We almost did not do it.
I'm exhausted. My eye is bugging me. It's been a long, kind of crazy week at school and work, and I just wasn't feeling it. And we're starting late.
If we stop now, then we'll just, it will fizzle out.
We're doing this for you, our fans. So if you are listening to this or watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, we did this for you. Please subscribe, follow us, whatever else you do.
Yeah.
Listen, tune in, share this with your friends. It's a good listen. I like going back and listening to it. And I've already heard it multiple times because I edited it too. Exactly. So this week I wanted to focus for a second on a topic that came up on my LinkedIn feed. And that's not something that people say very often, because how often do you browse LinkedIn?
I didn't realize they had topics.
Yeah, see, case in point, right? So one of the people that I follow on social media is Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's sort of I don't know, he describes himself, he's the son of immigrants, so he's kind of first generation in the United States, and he's kind of a media mogul. He has this media empire, he has tons of employees, and they'll do like one big piece of content and then break it into lots of little things. So he's everywhere. He's on LinkedIn, he's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, he's on YouTube, he's everywhere. And he's based out of Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V is how he's more commonly referred to. So for anyone who knows who he is, you'll already know who he is, obviously. But one of the things he posted this week just kind of caught me off guard a little bit as I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and I thought it was worth a few minutes of conversation, and then we'll save some time for a Q&A so that this episode has both. And
we're trying to keep it shorter. We're trying to keep it to like about a half hour.
Yeah, we don't want people to get burned out on any one topic. So thank you for the comments and suggestions that we've received so far. Keep those coming. We would love to include them. If you have questions for our Q&A, submit those as well. We love that. So Gary's post said, "Changing your mind is a strength." And then he reshared it from Twitter on LinkedIn and said, "Stunned how many are confused by this." I'm not really stunned by how many people are confused by this. The concept that changing your mind is a strength. So, I mean, we'll talk about it, but I'll set it up a little bit again. So think about in politics, for example. So going back several years, I guess, when Mitt Romney was running for president, he had been governor of Massachusetts, and then when he was running for president, he kind of changed some of his positions. At least that's how it was portrayed. And people accused him of being a flip-flopper.
I think because it comes off as pandering to the people, and it's not really changing your mind, it's just voicing what you think people want to hear at the time. And
so I think that's the crux of this whole discussion. Changing your mind is a strength, not a weakness, if it comes from a place of honesty and integrity.
Yes,
if you're just doing it for political expediency, then you've given up your integrity. Right. And so, that's where it becomes harder, because, and I don't want to get super political, but how do you know when someone has legitimately changed their position?
Well, politics these days, you really have no idea. I mean, it's...
Well, and it's more so than that, who even changes their position anymore? People dig in. They like dig a deeper trench, and they say, no, I'm not changing this at all. Right. And that's why you have really polarized arguments and discussions and things, not just in politics, but even in, personal relationships with people and stuff. It's like people aren't willing to admit when they're wrong a lot. More than maybe even just 10 years ago.
I like what you said, having it be coming from a place of integrity and honesty. If you're honest and you have integrity, you will stay true to your core values, but you'll also be open to seeking out honesty. So if you're really all about integrity and honesty, you'll know that it's not your way, their highway, your way or the highway.
Yeah.
You're really just out to seek the truth, whether it's your idea or somebody else's.
Yeah. Well, and I like the idea, something that you just hit on that's key. And this is what collectively as a society, I feel like we've lost sight of to an extent. It's like we can disagree without being disagreeable. That's part of what we're talking about on this podcast every week. But the idea that I don't have to sacrifice my own personal beliefs to at least be open-minded and allow for the fact that I might have something to learn. Right. Even if I don't ultimately change my mind.
And honestly,
that's not weakness, that's strength.
Coming down to a more, I mean, taking it in a little bit more from the world stage or the nation's platform or whatever. It might be disagreeable.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just talking to our son about this. How it's okay it's okay to have a little bit of disagreement sometimes. It's okay to have a lot of disagreement sometimes. If you're working forward to it and something good comes of it. When you start personally attacking, then that's not
right.
But if you're talking about the issue at hand, things get heated sometimes.
If your goals are aligned but your methods for achieving those goals aren't, that's where you can have healthy disagreement and still arrive at a common ground. Right. But if you don't have goals that are aligned and you're just talking across each other, that's where there are problems.
Yeah, but also in those times, you can still have a lot of learning and growth.
Yeah.
If you're talking across each other, you might get defensive, so not hear it. You may sound like it, or you may act like I sometimes.
I might.
Probably. Well, you might. I might as well. I know I've been guilty of this, where, you kind of dig in.
Right.
But you're still hearing what the other person says, and you could walk away from that conversation with a new point of view.
Yeah.
And it's not always, oh, I'm so enlightened. Thank you for this, intellectual conversation. No. Sometimes it's like, no, I don't agree with you.
Right.
That's stupid, or that doesn't make sense.
And that's the key to understanding, is being open to the possibility that you may be wrong in part or in whole.
Right.
Right. So, when you disagree with something that someone says, or a cause in society or whatever, and you go, oh, well, no, never, right? There's no way. And I'm not going to get into individual instances, but you can just say on a broad topic, gun control, abortion, like. And
it's true. I mean, you have to read your audience, because sometimes there are people who, they're so set that it doesn't matter how much talking you do.
Right.
They will get frustrated and mad and not be willing to listen at all. Whereas there are other people who can also get frustrated and mad, but it can be a healthy discussion.
Right.
Where you, even if you walk away with, you know what, we'll agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But that opened my mind to the fact that there are people with different opinions, and it's okay. Or, maybe you realize that they're right, or they realize that you're right, or there is no right.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is a right. I don't know.
Maybe there's.
I'm spinning here, I feel like.
Well, no, I think you're right.
I'm right.
I think you're right, because what I think of is times when I've encountered protesters or something, and it's easy to say, like, oh, this one thing that they are doing or saying defines them as a whole. And if you allow someone's opinion or something they say or something they write or publish or whatever to be the one thing that defines them, then it's really easy to write them off. And if someone hangs their hat too much on any one thing, it's easy to say, oh, well, that's who they are, and they can't join me in any of these other good things that we do agree on.
Right.
Right.
That's part of the reason I hate the term millennials, because people have this idea in their head.
Thank you for saying you hate the term millennials, and not that you hate millennials.
Because I love millennials, because I feel like it's people have just taken that term and put a negative connotation to it.
Well, it has become a meme on the internet where millennials are ruining blank, right?
And see, that's so ridiculous because humans, over the course of all time, have ruined things,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there have been so many amazing things that come from
Right.
your stereotypical millennial that other people don't have.
Yeah. Like the ability to manage and run a successful YouTube channel and launch a new podcast simultaneously.
Exactly.
And hold down a full-time job.
Saying you're a millennial?
In this sense, and this sense alone. No, in the sense that we're talking about, where there are good things that has to offer.
And I think what are the years? It's technically, I think you're
Depends
just
who you
outside.
ask.
Right, but I mean, we're on the upper
I was
end.
born in the mid-'80s, in the same year in which Back to the Future Part 1 was released. So 1985. And they... alternate definitions include like 1982 and on, or 1991 and on, or whatever. And I absolutely feel like I have more in common with my parents and their generation than I do with my siblings and their generation.
I think we're on the upper end.
Yeah,
and I think
I'm
that our younger brothers are on the very low end. Like, I don't even know. I mean, they're as much a millennial as we are.
Well, they just finished high school.
Right.
Literally, we went to 2 graduations in a week and a half, you know?
So what you're talking about, it just made me think of that, where it's so easy to define someone by one thing and to say, oh, look, you are that age, so you must behave a certain way.
Right.
Or,
well, how about you're from that place, or you have that skin color, or like anything where it's easy to just paint someone in a certain way, and now that's all that they are. Right. And that happens in the media, where people are, quick to overlook any of the good things that people accomplish. Right. And rip them apart, eviscerate them is a good word, for the one thing that they do that's out of line or bad or whatever. And there are absolutely things that are 100% absolutely right and wrong. There is absolute truth. Right. So, a lot of the Me Too movement, that is absolutely reprehensible and abhorrent and never should happen, et cetera, et cetera. There are things that we rip people apart for, misspelling a word in a tweet, things like that's really not fair. Matter, right. That's not, no one should be judged for their worst thing or their worst day. Right. Like, give people more of the benefit of the doubt. And so going back to like changing your mind specifically, there's another meme that says something like, they take a stance and then they say, change my mind. And it goes back to someone on a college campus with a little folding table set up. And so I don't even know what the original one is, but it'll say something like, the original 151 Pokemon are the best generation. Change my mind. So they're almost like, this is my stance. Yeah. And I challenge you to try to move me from it. Which I like as a concept, but it's almost flipping it on its head and saying like I'm not going to change. Right? That's kind of the meaning of the meme.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, there's no way
just try to change my mind.
There's no way that you could. But the idea, I think, going back to the original college campus setting, that's supposed to be a forum of democracy and a place that you can have people challenge your ideas, and you're shaping the way that you're going to approach the future. Right. And so, as my brother starts college this week, those are the kinds of things that, he's in this interesting phase of life where he's between, the time where he's grown up in a home where, people think and act in a certain way, and now he's going off on his own for the first time. What is he going to think and learn now? If he's so deeply entrenched in like, oh, there's no way that anything could be better than how I was raised. Interesting. Then you've put a ceiling or a cap on your own personal progression. Right? Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. That's the purpose of leaving home and joining the army, or serving a mission for your church, or going to college. Or the key is you take your you should build on the foundation that you were given, the good foundation that you were given, and you improve. Yeah. And so, at what point do you stop that?
Well, ideally, never, right?
Yes.
Are you supposed to be improving constantly?
That is my position.
I mean...
Change my mind.
No, I am perfect. I don't need to change my mind. Except I'm really not.
No, and
far from it.
I think we need to collectively and individually, like it's something that I work on, but realize that it's okay if someone thinks or acts differently from you. And it takes two people to come to a place of understanding, so they need to be willing too. But to have an open dialogue, to have an honest and integral, to borrow that term, the integrity portion from before, an integral discussion where you can freely exchange ideas, and even if you walk away from that and you still don't agree with each other, it is possible to come away and still like that person and even love them, right? I love you and I like you.
Exactly.
That's the whole point
of the podcast.
That's the whole point of the podcast, which is why I felt like this topic fits so well.
Right. Because
we need more of that in society, right? I should be able to. So I'll give you an example. Grew up in Massachusetts, and we were Red Sox fans before they had won a World Series in 86 years, right? And it was so deeply entrenched that our love of the Red Sox extended to a hatred of the Yankees.
Isn't that a good old-fashioned rivalry, though?
It is to an extent when it's still like good-natured, right? But
that makes sense.
When people are getting into fist fights in the stands and security's hauling them out, so like, come on, right?
Isn't that a good old-fashioned rivalry, though?
Okay, so here's another example then. So
no, but I hear you.
In Utah,
when it gets so strong,
right, that it starts to take away. You can't treat people
as human beings.
Yes. So the BYU-Utah rivalry has had a bad rap too for the same kind of bad behavior on both sides.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I went to BYU. My parents went to BYU. Every one of my siblings has attended BYU at some point. You and I met at BYU. We hope our kids go to BYU. We are BYU fans.
Except you hope that our kids,
consider whatever.
No, because we've talked about this before.
I hope that they...
I don't know.
I hope that they grow up in a world where college is deemed unnecessary. Because it'll save me a lot of money.
I think that's what you've said in the past. You're like, when our kids are college age, they won't even need to go to college because there won't be colleges or something like that.
College is called YouTube. Go Google it. No, but the point being, I can still be happy for the success that the University of Utah experiences on the sports field or court or whatever, or academically. They are a phenomenal medical institution.
That is true.
Right? They really are. If I had gone on beyond my broadcast journalism degree and decided to go into meteorology, they have a great meteorology program. Right. So there are good and bad things about anywhere. And while I personally believe BYU is best, change my mind, I do think there are great things about both places. And so I've reshaped who I am as a person to an extent where I'm still a Red Sox fan, I'm still a BYU fan, but I'm not so rabid that it extends to a hatred of the other people.
Well, it also
maybe that's because I work in Salt Lake and I have to keep it low key.
Oh, that's probably very true. But thinking of thriving where you are.
I like that.
Because
yes, go on.
Well, you were just saying it's to not be so deeply entrenched in one area or one thing.
Yeah.
If you are capable of thriving where you are, it takes the pressure, the outward pressure off you. And you focus more on your strengths and the strengths of the people around you. So it has more of a positive outlook on where you are. And instead of, I don't know, I just feel like you stop comparing where you are and you start just growing.
What's that quote? Comparison is the enemy of happiness.
Something like that. I
love that because so I think of a little cartoon, a single panel cartoon that someone made one time, and it was a guy walking on the side of the road, and he sees a guy on a bike, and he's like, "Oh man, it'd be so nice if I had a bike." And the guy on the bike is saying, oh, it'd be so nice if I had a car. And the guy in the
when you
car,
edit this, you should like insert.
I should find it and put it on the video. Okay, but he's looking at someone in a nicer car, and that person's looking at someone in a helicopter, and then an airplane, or something like that. The idea being that all of them have something to complain about, technically,
right?
Or each of the people could think about how fortunate they are with their current circumstances.
Right.
Right. So even the guy walking could be grateful he has legs.
Right.
Or that his legs work, you know?
It's really to be grateful where you are. And also, I guess, on the flip side, to acknowledge the fact that, for the most part, there's a lot of good to be found everywhere.
Yeah.
So, Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah. They're both incredible institutions.
Teams.
I know. And one of my best friends, one of my best baseball friends, which we've referred to on this podcast before, Wes, he was my roommate freshman year at BYU when the Red Sox and the Yankees, went up against each other in the American League Championship Series, and the Yankees ended up winning. Like, this Aaron Boone hit this towering home run, and it just ended the Red Sox season, and the Yankees went on to the World Series. That crushed me, but that experience with him in 2003 is one of my favorite memories.
Right.
Because between each inning, as they went into extra innings, we would run down the stairs of our dorm and run around the building and then run back upstairs because we had so much pent-up energy and excitement.
But how cool is that? See,
I love that. And we celebrated together.
You celebrated together. Yeah. But you still had your opinions that you actually didn't change your mind.
No, not at all.
You held strong to your opinions, but you did it respectfully.
Yep.
And you respected the other person as a human being and as a friend.
I feel like there's a stronger bond. And granted, this is just Red Sox Yankees, but in general, there's a stronger bond with that person, even if ultimately you disagree with them, if you have taken the time to understand them and where they're coming from.
Right.
And it goes back to all behavior makes sense in context. Right. Which we've mentioned on previous episodes. When you take time to get to know someone and understand their background and their way of thinking and everything, you can't help but love that person and like that person more than before you started that conversation.
Right.
And, to kind of tie this off here before we go to our break, just this week, in just the last 24 hours or so, I had a friend go through a pretty scary surgery on his neck.
I didn't even ask. Yeah.
And he's doing fine. But for the last several years, he's progressively gotten less and less feeling in one side of his body, tingling in his arm and things. They found that he had some slipped and bulging discs in his neck.
Sit up straight.
Right. Yeah. Better posture. But he was going through that, and one of my best friends from work, and I'm complaining that I slept weird on my neck, and so my shoulders are sore or whatever, right? So that puts things in perspective. Another friend of mine, his wife and daughter were finally diagnosed after years of searching for an answer with cases of Lyme disease, which manifests itself a lot like MS. And so they have good days and bad days. And I was riding the train home from work with him yesterday, and he was describing what it was like. And I could see the weight of the stress and the worry in his eyes. And as a father, as a provider, as a husband, he wanted to take that away from them and help fix it, but there's nothing that can really be done. There's no cure for it. The best you can really do is hope to treat symptoms. And, having those experiences back to back, worrying about my friend going through a surgery and then another friend with serious health issues in his family, they're talking about selling their home to be able to afford treatments and things like that because it's not covered under insurance. Things like that really have a way of just putting things in perspective and helping you realize what's really important.
Right.
And if I didn't know that about him, and all I knew was something dumb he did at work, I could look at him and categorize him in a certain way and I'm missing the 90% of the iceberg that's under the surface and what's really going on at home. So cut each other slack, learn to love each other and like each other more by being open to having discussions, open to people's own opinions or their perspective. And that doesn't mean you have to change your own.
There is strength in changing your mind.
Right.
However, there's also strength in not changing your mind.
Yeah.
And there's even greater strength in respecting other people, whether you change your mind or not.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's as good a place as any to end this first part of our podcast. So the fun stuff's coming up right after this quick break for our sponsorship. And we're back. Thank you again for subscribing, for following us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube. We're pretty much everywhere. So leave us your comments, your suggestions, your questions. We'd be happy to feature them in an upcoming episode. And that's what we're going to do right now. So we had our semi-serious conversation. It was a serious conversation. But, and now we want to do some more Q&A because we had a lot of fun doing that last week. And we only got to a couple of the questions. So your sister especially had some awesome questions.
Yes. Oh, I should have read
So cake or pie is a quick one that I'll start with.
Pie. Hands down pie. I'm just not a big cake fan. I don't know. Except ice cream cake.
Is that cake though?
No, okay, Baskin Robbins, I don't know if they still make it, but they have the ice cream layer and then like a
cakey
layer and then a cake layer and it's frozen. That's good.
Okay. Well, I mean, ice cream makes everything better.
Yeah, but this is different. Like, it's all frozen, solid, and a big...
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Like, you know what?
So, I think we agree with pie. We've talked about this on the podcast already.
Oh, yeah, I think we did.
I love apple pie. I love Innkeeper's pie, etc. We talked about
Innkeeper's pie is more of a cake.
It is. It's like a dense
It's a cake.
cake. If I had to choose one, like you're on a desert island, you can only have one for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I would choose pie.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you can do anything with them. It can be a chicken pot pie.
Ooh, that's true.
It could just be a pot pie in Colorado.
Pot pie, that's true.
It could be, I don't know, it could be fruit. So you could have savory or sweet.
Yeah. Right.
It's just so many possibilities.
I just... Not that long ago, figured out that I really liked... Yeah, pizza pie. Minced pie. Is that...
Oh, like a mincemeat pie?
Mincemeat pie.
Yeah.
It's so good. You can't eat it because it's full of nuts, but...
Oh, wait. No, so you're talking one... Are you talking about one with meat? Or are you talking like the...
Like pecan. I think mincemeat pie
like around the holidays. It's kind of like a British something.
Yes, but it's not... But it doesn't... I don't think it actually has meat in it. It's like a pecan... Google it.
It's like a fruit... Yeah, it's like a fruit thing.
It's like brown sugar candied pecans. Or maybe I'm thinking of just pecan pie. But look up mincemeat pie because I don't think there's any meat in it. And if there is, you'll just have to edit this out so I don't sound... uneducated.
Well, no, you are absolutely right. It's a sweet pie of British origin filled with a mixture of dried fruits and spices called mincemeat that is traditionally served during the Christmas season in much of the English-speaking world. Well, there you go.
There you go. So I like mincemeat pie and I like pecan pie. And those were two pies that I thought I hated.
Interesting.
And I really like them a lot.
So... You changed your mind?
I changed my mind. I was open to changing my mind. I'm stronger now.
Good job. Okay. I like this one. What celebrity would play you in a movie about your life?
Oh, that's a good question and really hard to answer.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this because people love to assign doppelgangers to you. They're like, oh, you look just like so and so, and I pull up a picture and I'm like, no, I don't. In the comments on my YouTube channel, people have compared me to Jared Fogle, the guy who used to be the spokesperson for Subway until he was arrested on lots of scary allegations.
Well, clearly you don't want him to define
I don't want him to play me in a movie.
Well, this is about who you want
I know, but I'm saying, like, he kind of looks like me. Fine. That's fair, whatever. But Ed Helms, probably.
Can't remember who that is.
He's Andy on The Office.
Oh, yeah.
he's a close enough approximation. I think he would probably end up playing me.
Like, okay, so you're talking about the actor, not the character.
Just looking at, yeah. So he looks like me,
like,
as an actor.
Who embodies you? Like,
Chris Pratt, obviously, or Chris Hemsworth, or Chris Pine.
Right?
Any of the Chris's.
Any of the Chris's.
I don't know.
Like, whose personality and look, like, it just...
Who is the complete package? The Rock.
The Rock!
No.
There you go.
Dwayne Johnson 2020. I don't know. I really don't know. I think the one that comes to mind is Chris Pratt, actually. Like, truly. Yeah. Because I kind of look like him as Andy Dwyer in Parks and Rec. And if I worked out consistently with a personal trainer and a nutritionist and whatever, I could also look like Star-Lord. That's true. So I'll take the Chris Pratt.
You're better looking than him.
I'm kind of goofy. I really love velociraptors.
It's true, you do.
So there you go.
Good job.
Chris Pratt. We'll go with Chris Pratt. That's cheating, though. Wait, what about one for you? What celebrity would play you in a movie about your life?
Gosh, I don't know.
Like a Lifetime made-for-TV movie. Who have you been compared to in the past? There was somebody.
People said that I look... So, Geneva said that I look like the girl on the Blacklist.
Who was on the Blacklist?
I don't remember her name.
I could Google it.
Christine or...
I don't remember.
You said that I reminded you of... was it Lily on How I Met Your Mother? Or was there...
Yeah. No, so like personality-wise and stuff, you remind me of Lily from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
I think she would do a good job. She's on a few shows, but that's the one I know her from.
Okay. So. I have this vague memory, and I could be totally wrong in who it was, because I don't remember exactly who it was.
Megan Boone? She's the one from Blacklist that you might be thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
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 She kind of, that's a good... Somewhat obscure, because she's not like an A-lister, but I do think...
That I look like her.
Yeah, kind of like me with Ed Helms, right?
Yeah.
I like that. But like personality-wise and stuff, you're more like the person who plays Lily on How I Met Your Mother. So,
when I was back in college, I'm pretty sure they were talking about Lily on How I Met Your Mother.
Lily Aldridge.
Which I had
She's played by Allison Hannigan.
Allison Hannigan.
Yeah.
Which I had never... I do like her.
Yeah.
I'd never seen it back then. Mm-hmm. And I really hope I'm getting this person right. But there were some people who said, oh, yes, you remind me so much of her. And then other people who said, oh, you do not want to be like her. No, she does not remind you of her at all. And they were like arguing over whether or not the people who thought that they were... Some people thought it was great to be like her, and other people thought it was not great to be like her.
I liked her. She was probably my favorite character in that show.
I liked her. She was very likable.
I mean, you could be Kobe Smulders, but she's kind of just... Meh. She's kind of more boring and drab. What was her name on that? I don't even remember.
There's Kristen Bell, but I'm not 5'3" and like spunky and cute like that.
She's like a little girl.
I think that she... Yeah, see, she doesn't look like me. Like, if Kristen Bell's personality... Yeah. I don't know. Would be mixed with... This is a hard question.
It is. Okay,
It's such a good question, though. I'd like to think about it and revisit it.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I didn't actually think about it before. And you know how I feel about this, being put on the spot with these questions.
Okay, you can circle back to it if you want. We still have about 15 minutes to go.
In the next podcast, we'll revisit it.
All right.
I'll think about it more.
So is there another one on here that's jumping out since I was choosing them all? Like favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday? That's a good one.
What's your favorite holiday? So you almost have to break it into categories. What's your favorite holiday to decorate for and like prepare for?
I love like Halloween, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep. I was going to answer that for you. If this was the Newlywed Game, I would have answered that. So what's your favorite holiday to celebrate? And like,
I love all the traditions that are around Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is your favorite holiday when it comes to the food and the treats and the whatever? Because let's face it, this is America, and we have special food for every holiday.
It is true.
Some of it's corporate driven. There's an entire aisle at Walmart dedicated to whatever the next holiday is.
You know what?
But a lot of it's family tradition.
I might say Easter because I love my mom's potato salad.
Yeah.
And her
stuffing dressing.
The dressing.
It's really good.
Which is a family recipe from my grandma and her mom.
For anyone wondering, we're not talking like ranch dressing. The difference between stuffing and dressing is all the same ingredients. You just prepare it separately and bake it instead of shoving it up inside the corpse of the turkey.
Oh, well, don't say it that way. Gross. Instead of stuffing it in the turkey.
Yeah, so instead of being like soggy and stuff, there's like some springiness.
It's so good.
It's good. It's really good. I do like stuffing too, but your mom's dressing is delicious.
I love my mom's dressing. And both of those recipes, I think they were passed down from my great-grandma, who passed them down to my grandma, who passed them down to my mom.
Yeah.
And I really need to step up my game and learn how to make them because I need to pass them down to my children.
But right now we have a good thing going because we live within easy driving distance of both families.
Thanks, Mom, for your delicious food.
Yeah. But Thanksgiving works out great because my family feels like eating quote-unquote dinner at 2 p.m. counts. They eat Thanksgiving dinner super early. It's like lunchtime.
Yeah, so we get a yummy Thanksgiving dinner during lunch. And then we go to my family's, get a delicious Thanksgiving dinner during dinner. And then we die. So we are filled with amazing food on all-day Thanksgiving.
And you can't not eat your favorite thing at each house. So,
right?
I eat so much on Thanksgiving.
And you have favorites that your mom makes around Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've always had...
And you love the pies at Thanksgiving.
Pies at Thanksgiving. And then around Christmas, my family makes traditional Swedish pepperkakor, which is like...
Yeah, that's like the big
It's gingerbread.
Treat.
And
it's better than gingerbread,
yeah. Oh, it's... If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. It's amazing. Especially when it's fresh. Because traditionally, we... like poke a hole through these cookies and then hang them on the tree and eat them gradually for weeks, and they get like rock hard and break your teeth, and so they still taste delicious, but they're
you also
best
eat a lot when they're fresh. You know what? I might change my answer because the reason I didn't go straight away to Christmas is because we have every single member of our family on your side and my side in this county. So Christmas can be very overwhelming.
So we may have had a quick edit right there. I'm not sure exactly where that cut off because the battery died for some reason. So we're back up and going now, and our discussion about our favorite holidays turned into our discussion about our favorite foods.
Well,
but actually, what I was saying a lot of the holiday traditions
is that I'm going to change my answer to Christmas being my favorite holiday. And even though we have all of our family around and it can be really overwhelming, it's all good stuff. It's all, family bonding, great activities, amazing traditions that our kids like to participate in and be a part of. And it's a real family holiday.
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming. But when I think about... just like the fun little traditions that we have.
Yeah.
Pulling out the Christmas books that we read all the time. And
the music and So I think for me, part of why I love Christmas is because it's an all-inclusive, immersive experience. It's sights, sounds, smells. It's everything.
Flavors.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's everything.
It's everything. Whereas Halloween and Thanksgiving check off a lot of those boxes.
Right.
But it's not quite... I mean, you don't have... You have Halloween music, but it's just... It doesn't last as long. It's only about 1 week. Well, I don't know.
Depends who you are. I
guess you're talking about a season.
I know there are people already starting to decorate for Halloween, and it's September.
You're really talking about... The question was, what's your favorite holiday?
Yes.
And I feel like... when people think about Halloween, they're thinking about a season.
Yeah.
It's fall and autumn. And so how do you decorate for fall and autumn?
Yeah.
Halloween is usually there, and Thanksgiving. Right. So I love... My favorite season is fall. for all of those reasons. Pumpkin, you know, the cliche reasons that every girl likes fall. Which
Jacket
I do.
weather.
Exactly.
Cider, scarves.
I love it all.
Maple syrup.
Pumpkin patches, all of it. But my favorite holiday, and bats.
Witches.
I love to dress up as a cute little witch.
I know. And you love Hocus Pocus.
I do love Hocus Pocus. And that is a fun tradition that my family has. And I'm so glad that... So watching Hocus Pocus at Halloween was my brother and sister's tradition. And I was so happy that they included me in the tradition. Yeah. Because I was off at college.
And now we own it.
And now we own it.
I had never seen it.
I know.
Sarah Jessica Parker and Bette Midler. That's an interesting
Thank you for tolerating it.
You're welcome.
You do. You tolerate it every year.
It's not horrible. It's fine.
It's fun. Yeah. But really, as a holiday, I think Christmas is, like you said, it's just immersive. Yeah. It's just, you know, it's all... What's it called? All the feels.
All inclusive. All the feels. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Wow, she has some good ones. If you could live anywhere in the world, if you could read only one book for the rest of your life.
Do we need to wrap this up though?
No, we still have a couple minutes. So maybe the last.
If you could live anywhere in the world, let's end on that one, and then we'll pick up the next one for the next podcast.
So if I could live anywhere in the world, we talked a lot about traveling when we were talking about our bucket list stuff.
Would you live in Spain?
Depends on the season of life. That's a tough question to answer.
We're not good at answering Q&As because we can't ever get
everything has a condition. Well, yes, but
exactly.
No, but I would absolutely live in Spain. I mean, this room that we're in, people can't see this, but like I have posters from a bullfight I went to, and there's a Spanish flag over here and a map of all the places I lived and stuff.
Separate your experience, because.
Well, but I think that is part of what Spain is, though. At least as an American going there, it is about the experience, because as a place. Yeah, there are older buildings and things like that, but it's a very modern, Western society, first world country. You know, like they have big supermarkets and they have big, like almost like bulk stores and stuff. There's a Spanish equivalent of pretty much anything you could find in the United States. And there are a lot of things from the United States that you can still find there.
I remember you saying San Diego reminded you a lot of Spain.
Yes. If you've been to San Diego, you've basically been to a lot of Spain. So it's not...
Without the...
At least southern Spain.
Alhambra.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So take, it's not a super foreign experience. And so it's a comfortable adjustment. I arrived there in October. And it really took me until I went to that bullfight in April for me to go, okay, whoa, this is very different from what I've experienced. This is very foreign. And, mixed emotions about torturing the bull versus the pageantry of it or whatever. But it was in that moment where everyone was going, Olé!
Yeah.
Olé! Like in this huge stadium. Where I was like, wow, I'm in Spain. And I had already been there for 6 months. So I think for me, a part of it was like, okay, there's always something to do, explore, go see. The people and the culture, they're so vibrant. There's always something going on, some kind of festival, some kind of, celebration or religious holiday.
That is true.
The beaches are amazing. I feel like you could spend a lifetime there.
But your description, what you just said, all of that, even the history and the culture,
was me going out of my way and not living there.
Would be enough to sell me on Spain.
Yeah. Well,
because that's what I'd be looking for.
It's amazing.
I know.
No, we've talked about when we go there on vacation, instead of just going for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Going and renting a little house and living there like a local for a month.
Right.
Going and doing our grocery shopping at the local shops. And
it's definitely
stuff like
bucket list, yeah.
It would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
It would be seriously amazing. So,
and, think of the exposure that the kids would have. That would be amazing.
Well, and here's another key reason. Easy access to all the rest of Europe. Right?
That's true.
You hop on a plane and you're there in an hour. right? You can be in Rome in an hour and a half. You can be in Berlin in 2 hours. You know, it's like everything's close. And for that matter, you could just take a train everywhere.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people I knew in Spain were, you know, obviously they were fluent in Spanish. Everyone's required to take English as their second language, and then they're required to take a third language. So
that is interesting,
during school, if you're, you know, dedicated to your studies, you'll come away speaking 3 languages.
Trilingual. That's pretty cool.
And these people would, like, for the weekend, we're going to France for the weekend. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
But that's like,
I don't even go to California for the weekend.
Well, that is true.
It's a 10-hour drive.
That's true. That is true.
In 10 hours from Spain, you could be in Switzerland.
But if they had trains,
you know? Like,
they had, the transportation in the U.S. is not like that in Europe.
It's not.
It's not the same.
The high-speed trains are amazing.
Right.
They're so awesome.
We need some high-speed trains here.
So that was a long answer, but amazing beaches that the rest of Europe comes to on vacation.
Right.
Easy access to anywhere else I want to go.
Right.
And very chill, relaxed quality of life. Literally siestas. Staying up late, eating good food and talking with friends. You know, like, I don't even drink, but that culture of, like, just hanging out, drinking wine, chatting with your friends. Yeah. That sounds amazing.
Why do we not live there? Like, or can you find that culture here in the U.S.?
No, it's not the same. Maybe parts of, like, San Diego, Miami. Because when I went to Miami, it was similar to that.
Was it more like that? Okay.
Yeah, you know, post-cocaine drug wars and stuff. It was. It's kind of like that because you have that Latin influence, but
so
Spain's
really
different.
A Latin culture where it's more about family-oriented. Fun, relax with the family, celebrate with family. Things are a celebration. Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
it's that story about the Mexican fisherman where the American businessman comes.
I love that story.
And he says, you know, hey, why do you sit on the beach with your buddies and just hang out? Don't you know that if you catch more fish every day, you can buy a fleet of shipping vessels, or you can buy a fleet of fishing vessels and sell the fish, and you could build this big empire, and then you could sell everything and retire. And the guy's like, well, and then what? And he says, well, then you can sit on the beach with your friends and relax. And he's like, that's what I do every day.
Yeah.
So the difference in the mindset between, like, subsistence versus, you know, building a business or whatever.
Right.
That's almost kind of what I feel like the United States versus Spain is. You know, there are very successful, very driven business people in Spain too, but the whole vibe and culture is very much like, I'm going to watch this soccer game, and then we're going to go down to the beach, and then you know, we'll go get something to eat. It's like, that's amazing. I felt like, and part of it was I was in the vacation destination for a lot of Europe.
Sense.
But I felt like that was the prevailing sentiment.
From what I've heard, that kind of is.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And the people were just so amazing. Like, lifelong friends with these people that I met there.
But was that just your experience because you were a missionary, or would it be like that? I don't know. I'm assuming it would just be like that. I think that's the culture, but
it is more the culture than in the United States.
Okay.
You can literally just be, like, standing in line to buy something in a shop and strike up a conversation with someone in Spain.
Right.
And that doesn't so much happen in the US. We like to kind of lead our private lives and only post those public things on social media, right? So it's just different. It's just different.
Oh, that makes sense.
I mean, the funny answer to if you could live in any other country, where would you live? A place with no extradition treaty with the United States, right? That you could commit any kind of crime and then go run away.
Is there something planned in the works?
No, I'm just saying. You know, no, I have told people, and I've told you too, if I ever just go missing and I, like, give up on life,
look for you in Spain.
Look for me on a beach in Spain, because that's where I'll be.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. I'll just disappear here and reappear there. Yeah.
Mallorca? Or just, like,
that's in
the
Spain.
Costa del Sol?
Yeah, probably Costa del Sol, because that's more what I'm familiar with. But I wouldn't say no to some time on an island, too. Yeah. How about you?
Well, I love how you... I know. See... I'm at a disadvantage as far as international because I haven't. That's true.
That's the one place I've lived other than the United States.
That's true.
I've been to Canada. Loved Prince Edward Island.
But you wouldn't live there. It gets too cold in the winter.
It's true. I would have a summer home there, maybe.
That's true. It is beautiful there. I would have a summer home there. I think I told you, if you're ever looking for me, look on Prince Edward Island. Now that we've publicized where we're going to be, we really can't escape anywhere.
The FBI will have an easy time tracking us down.
I would have to say I would love to live in some coastal village.
Yeah.
A small coastal community. And not like, almost like, I don't know.
The scene at the end of The Bourne Identity when he catches up to her and she has that little scooter rental shop by the beach.
Kind of. I'm thinking like the coastal villages that have like white picket fences and flower baskets hanging from the lampposts. And where would that be?
In Provincetown, Massachusetts.
Provincetown, Massachusetts, but that's a little bit too touristy.
That's true. If you could
so
find
like
a place
Northern California?
You know what? Because you want a warmer beach too.
Right.
Because the place.
Well, I actually don't even care.
The place you're describing is like Rockport. So it's
Maine too.
I don't remember if it's Maine or. I think it is Maine. Rockport,
Maine. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Maine. It's picket fences, little walking town, saltwater taffy.
That's what I'm like. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
But then
so
the ocean's
Rockport,
cold.
Maine.
Then the ocean's cold.
That's okay. I can travel for a warm ocean.
That's true.
I just want to be near the ocean. So that's Rockport, Maine is where I would move. I mean,
it's still the United States.
I don't really. Well. Doesn't matter. Does it matter?
No.
I like the U.S. What's up with your patriotism?
I love the U.S. too. It just said in the thing, the country that you would live in.
Did it say that?
Nope, actually no.
It just said, where would you live?
It said if you could live anywhere in the world. Right here with you and my kids.
Well,
I would take you with me, obviously.
Obviously.
We'll all go to Spain.
Yes.
Cool.
I'd imagine that there's probably a little coastal town like that in Spain. With a warmer beach. Yep.
They're dotting the seashore there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little tiny coastal village. But I don't want it to be, I'm nothing against fishermen villages.
Yeah.
What is it called? Fishermen villages?
Oh, fishing villages.
Fishing villages. Yeah. But I want it to be like like Heber.
Okay.
But
or like Midway.
Like Midway. Yeah. I want it to be like Midway, Utah.
With a beach.
With a beach.
Okay.
That is where I would live.
It's a good answer.
Thank you.
Okay.
It doesn't exist, but that's okay. Let me know if it exists, people.
If you have a suggestion of one of those places, leave it in the comments. Yeah. And that's going to do it. We're kind of up on time for this week, but that was fun. It might be our best podcast so far, I feel like.
I feel like it was fun, yeah.
And we almost didn't do it. Thank you. Thank you for insisting that we did.
You're welcome. I'm sure you'll insist some other time.
Yep. So thank you for joining us on I Love You and I Like You, and tune in for future episodes. Thank you for joining us every week. Yeah. We love you and we like you. Yep. And I love you and I like you.
And I like you.